Hey everybody, this is Dominic DeAngelo of SEScoops.com. And typically sometimes I'm from other outlets too, but I'm here today. It's my first ever TNA interview. How about that? It is going to be with Dirty Dango. Dirty, how are you doing, man? Good to see you, man.
I'm good. I'm up here in the wilderness of Maine. It's 18 inches of snow. I wish I was still in Florida, but yeah, I'm not. So it is what it is.
Wow. So you guys got walloped up there then.
Yeah, like I just said before we went live, I missed the show this week because of the blizzard, and we got almost 2 feet of snow. We're getting another storm tonight, actually. So that time of year where I wish I didn't live up here.
Well, I was going to ask you this later on, but since we talked about it off air first, I think it's how good is it that you kind of balance life where you have outside elements of like actual work and stuff like that you're doing, and how has that kind of helped you with your wrestling career, balancing your life out?
It's great because it kind of takes you know, for me being OCD, sometimes when you have a bad week on the road and you kind of take it home with you and it can stretch you out, it's good to be able to kind of come home and just unwind and put your energy into something else. With me being home repair and renovation.
Yeah, and on top of it too, it's like it's you don't put all the stakes into wrestling, and like you kind of have that outside element where you're not caught in the bubble of that life a lot of the times too. I'm sure
That was my life from 16 to in my 30s was all in on wrestling, and then eventually you realize you can't do it forever, and you have to kind of set yourself up for something for life after wrestling. And for me, it was investing in real estate and building houses. So, yeah.
What got you motivated into doing that? Like inspired to kind of get? I know, didn't you have a previous background working that kind of element too before you got into wrestling, or am I mistaken?
Yeah, it's what I did. Trying to make it to WWE was renovate houses and work as a mason laborer, actually.
Yeah. Oh, okay, cool. So yeah, so you got all the tools of the trade in that one. So you're facing PCO at Hard to Kill. Obviously a bigger dude, older dude, more unorthodox dude. What is there he's such a different style of how he works. Is that a style that you prefer to work against, or how are you gonna go about that, do you think?
Dude, I mean, how do you plan to go into a match with PCO? This guy was WWF Tag Team Champion in like 1993. So, I think it's like, I think trying to accumulate a game plan would be kind of stupid. I think just kind of go out there, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. So I got a lot of respect for PCO and kind of reinventing himself later in his career. So yeah, it should be interesting. It should be an interesting night in Vegas for sure.
No doubt. What
Yeah.
You've kind of reinvented yourself too in a lot of ways after leaving WWE and coming into TNA Impact and now going to be TNA.
Yeah.
I remember seeing you at WrestleCade last year, and you came out to take on me with a cigarette, and it was like the funniest thing one of the funniest things I've ever seen live in wrestling.
Yeah.
Talk about adapting.
Year, right?
Huh?
That was last year.
That was last year. Yep.
Holy shit.
Can you believe that? Yeah. So,
wow.
Yeah, it's crazy how quick that kind of time goes. But
yeah, it does. It really does, man.
Talk about applying a different persona and adding a new spin onto what you already created.
Yeah, so TNA is great, man. There's a great group of writers there. There's a couple of guys that I've worked with in the past in different companies, so I kind of have a rapport and relationship with a couple of the guys, and they kind of get my personality and the freedom there to kind of come up with your own creativity is really cool. It's not micromanaged, which I really like, because for me, I have a horrible memory when it comes to remembering lines. Yeah. So my promos are more just kind of remember where we're going and fill in the blanks, because I can't remember 5 paragraphs verbatim. It's just not my style. And they give you that kind of freedom to, get the point across, the bullet points, and then just they kind of give you the free range to just kind of do it your way, which I really like, and that's how I really strive better.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is there a certain aspect that you like, stuff outside of wrestling that you pull from, that you've been kind of inspired to adapt to this Dirty Dango character?
I did a character in NXT Redemption 2010, and it kind of reminds me of TNA now, where the writers, they weren't micromanaging us, and they kind of just let us do our own thing. And as long as you didn't go out and curse on TV or go crazy, they kind of let you do your own thing. And um, I feel like talent can kind of grow better, and they can put better work and art out there if they're not feeling like they have to just remember lines verbatim. Because a lot of us aren't actors, man, and it's sometimes the better promos are guys that or girls that can just remember what's written on a piece of paper. So yeah, so it just gives me that free freedom to kind of go out there and create, which I really like.
Yeah, having that balance of like, okay, hey, there's bullet points, there's a direction to go into, but then you kind of just carve the course yourself, is like, it's very beneficial. And like, I mean, you look at all the guys from the yesteryear and stuff like that were doing, like Steve Austin. He didn't come up with Austin 316 by it being written down. It was just bullet points like that. He was like, all right, this is what I'm doing, and that was it.
Yep.
So
it was a different machine back then. Now it's publicly traded. Sponsorships, you got to be really careful letting kids go out there and just talk on a microphone. So I can understand having everything written for some of these guys. So it's just that we're in a different world now, just like every business evolves and changes. So but yeah, the Attitude Era was the best, though, wasn't it? Where
it was pretty good.
Yeah. So
well, something else, I know you're a huge baseball fan, and
yeah.
what kind of elements of baseball, this is going to be an interesting one, I think. What kind of elements of baseball have you kind of adapted into pro wrestling, or what do you think pro wrestling can learn from baseball, or vice versa?
I played baseball until I was 17, Legion Ball. Then I quit to wrestle full time. I went pro. I went pro in wrestling at the age of 16. So it's very regiment and ritual based to me. Wade Boggs eating chicken before every game. For me, I have my rituals that I've done before every baseball game, and I have done before every wrestling match. So to your question, I would say consistency, because just like wrestling and baseball, it's more of a marathon season where there's no, it's 162 games. Wrestling, there's no off season. So it's consistency, staying healthy for the long haul, and ritual based, putting up, learning to go out, and you can fail 7 out of 10 times and still be an all-star,
Right.
So it's, yeah, that's a pretty good answer.
That's a really good answer, actually. It's like, the batting average and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, you're not gonna, it's 3 out of 10 times is like you're successful.
Which is hard to deal with mentally, going up and failing. Same with wrestling, is you got to learn to go out, even at this stage in the game, having like Tommy Dreamer as a mentor to me in TNA, still being coachable at the age of 40 for me. So it's you coming back from a match and being like, hey man, be more aggressive, or do boom, 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 boom. And if you're still going to be in the game, you still got to be able to be coachable. So I still like having guys give me advice, and because the game wrestling is always changing. The stuff these kids can do now, especially in TNA, the guys and the girls, it's just sometimes I'm just watching in the back and I'm like, holy crap, some of the matches they're putting on is just unbelievable. The talent level is through the roof. And for me, TNA has one of the most underrated shows and rosters in wrestling. To me, it's just unbelievable. And it's cool for me to I started my career in TNA in 03, dude.
Wow.
Yeah, doing explosion matches. So now me and like Johnny Swinger.
Johnny's, yes.
yeah. So it's cool, kind of. I went on to WWE for years, and now I'm kind of back, and it's kind of cool how life in wrestling is symmetry, and kind of everything's full circle. So
Yeah, very cyclical, very cyclical. What
yeah.
as far as TNA, like bringing the brand back and everything like that, what are you most excited about having that kind of like that fresh new paint job kind of going on?
Yeah, it's like a season premiere, like with any television show. And just like in baseball, you can get in ruts with wrestling. It could become Groundhog Day, where it's the same routine, flying out every week, doing that kind of. You can kind of get stuck in those ruts or going through the motions sometimes. So I think having a reset and a a rebrand can kind of kick some of the guys and girls in the butt, and it's gonna challenge people to bring out their best, I think.
What who is
Because
so you
a lot of people are watching. They want to see the rebrand, so everyone's gonna have to bring their A game.
right? Yeah, it's first impression's the best impression you can kind of make a lot of times too. So.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what you mentioned some the athletic talent, and there is a lot of athletic talent in TNA. It's unbelievable. Who if you could name a few, who's a couple of the stars that balance that athletic talent out very well, but also uh implement the persona aspect and is really thoughtful of that moving forward too.
Yeah. He's a friend of mine, and
Mhm.
I worked with him in NXT before. Steve Macklin. I think talking about a guy who kind of got brushed aside and maybe overlooked in the past, and he totally reinvented himself, came up with a really cool character. His promos are on really on par, and his work I feel like is way better than it was 2017 or 18, whenever we were working with 19, whenever we work on those guys. Will Ospreay, I think he's probably the best wrestler in the world right now. Um, Not only can he do the high flying, but his basic, for me, there's so many good high flyers out there. There's just
Yeah, yeah,
when I was a kid, I was a huge fan because I was 175 pounds when I broke into the business. So I always thought I was going to be like a luchador.
yeah.
I was 5'9", 5'10", so I was really attracted to Blitzkrieg from WCW, Juventud Guerrero, WCW Saturday Night, where you could watch Ultimo Dragon versus Super Calo, or just these random awesome high flying matches, Psychosis. And the thing I like about Ospreay is he can do the high flying, but his ground game and aggressiveness is really, really, really good. He lays his shit in, which I really like and I appreciate. He doesn't throw things away just to get to the high spot.
Right.
And he's in my book probably the best out there right now. So it's cool to have him around, and he's bringing out the best of the TNA locker room for sure.
And so he's cultivated a pretty good environment and helped kind of build it up to, and like leading into TNA and stuff like that. That's also speaks to your point. It's like first impression, and like you have somebody like that kind of like almost kind of rallying the troops. I'm sure is very positive.
Well, I mean, Ospreay comes in and works speedball, and raises his game up that much. So he's bringing people up, and just like when I was on the indies as a kid, I was only wrestling, and I'm not saying this is speedball. I'm not making an analogy to speedball. I'm talking about myself. But when I was on the indies, I just wrestled some of the guys around here. We weren't really getting better because we weren't wrestling anybody better than us.
Yeah.
And there's guys like Will Ospreay that bring that level up, and so it's cool. It's cool to see. It's fun to watch. There's not a lot that makes me. I don't get excited watching a lot of wrestling now, but his matches do make me sit down and watch. So it's good.
It's kind of neat because you look at the I keep hearing wrestlers and veterans talking about like the in between and like the little details, like like Chavo Guerrero was mentioning about it, and then RVD on our podcast was talking about like how he likes everything. Like you want everything to seem seamless. It's not like you're in a stage play where like you kind of break character off it and stuff like that. It's more like that kind of aspect. Do you how important to you and how focused are you too when you're in the ring about the little details, like going into the match and like telling that story aspect?
Well, I can't do it either high flying. So, I drove with Arn Anderson for a couple of years when I first came into WWE, and I really admired his work. And just watching his stuff and guys like him, Tully and Arn, Barry Windham, guys like that. They didn't do Canadian destroyers, but if they broke in now, then maybe they would. It's just like every generation says the generation before. These kids are ruining the business. It's like I imagine when like the Rock and Roll Express were doing all theirs, or the sorry, someone's trying to call me.
That's okay.
What were we talking about?
Learning from like the little details and stuff like that, and you were like,
so guys like Arn Anderson, just not throwing anything away. So you can go out and absolutely kill it in your match, but if you throw like one crappy punch, people are going to remember that. And when you walk back through the curtain, there's probably going to be an old man sitting in gorilla that's going to call you out on it. So it's important not to do stuff that you're not good at. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I see that a lot. Just doing too much, and just don't throw away the in between stuff. And because it's a magic show, people know it's a work, but they don't want to be told it's a work when they're there. They want to believe. They want 3 hours, 4 hours, whatever the show is, to forget about their lives and be entertained. You know what I'm saying?
I totally get it. Totally get it.
Yeah,
absolutely. Well, I'll let you go with this. What is your favorite all-time baseball lineup? As being Red Sox fan, would it be one of those?
Damn. Probably either the 04 Red Sox with Millar, Bill Miller, Big Papi, or the 2018 squad where you got Mookie Betts, Mitch Moreland. It was an all-star team, the 2018 team. Between those two teams, the 07 team was great. The 90s Red Sox were kind of really dismal, but probably 2018 with Mookie. I think they had like 108 wins or something, some crazy season like that. And that was one of those seasons I watched every single game from like spring training to the World Series when they won it. So, probably 2018 for sure.
I think that's the fun aspect, is getting to know the whole story of all the players throughout the whole season and stuff like that. And like, that average, he's got to build that up. He's not that good at this part or anything. And
it's storylines. It's just like wrestling. It's just like wrestling. It's a 6-7 month story, sitcom show, which is really fun to watch, the ups and downs of it.
Right. Well, I'm a Pirates fan, so I still have to lean on Andy Van Slyke, Jay Bell, and Bobby back in the day. That's all I got right now.
Yeah.
So
my buddy Ketch, I'll let you go, but my buddy Ketch for the Yankees, we were both dating girls that were friends in Tampa. And then he got traded to Pittsburgh, Francisco Cervelli.
Yes.
And,
oh my gosh.
So he I think he came in and when Posada was leaving, maybe Jorge Posada, and he started catching, and then he had a falling out with A-Rod or something weird happened. And then he got traded over to Pittsburgh, and I think he ended his career there a few years ago. He retired.
Yeah, well, it's funny. I used to work at Whole Foods in Pittsburgh, and he would come in, and I had to help him locate the salt, the pepper, and he was like, "Do you have the salt or the paper?" And I'm like, "Paper?" And I'm like,
"He's from Costa Rica." I think,
yeah, he's from Argentina. Yeah. But
typical American. He's from Panama, Argentina, Venezuela.
Right. Dude, that's so cool. He was my favorite because he came out to D. Martin. That's Amore all the time.
Yeah. He's a really cool dude, man. If you got to know him, I haven't seen him in years, but he's a really nice guy. Yeah, so that's my connection to Pittsburgh.
Hell yeah, I have a jersey actually. So there you go.
That's cool, man. Yeah, nice, cool.
Small cool. Yeah, how about that, man? How about that? Reynoldsville, cool. Here. So
yeah,
cool. Well, hard to kill. January 13th coming up. Dirty Dango will be taking on PCO.
Pray for me, guys.
I'll say a couple Hail Marys, man. So
thank you, bro.
All right. Thanks, man. This was fun, dude.
Yeah,
have a good one. Yep.
Thank you, dude. Take care.
Yep. Bye-bye.